Here at Veteran Trash Talk, we actually vet our sponsors. We don't just take their money and run like a butter bar lieutenant lost on the land nav course. Are you finally ready to plant your flag and claim your territory? Maybe it's time to use that VA loan to buy a home. Or hell, maybe you're looking to refinance and put some extra cash in your pocket for more questionable life decisions. Either way, the Veterans Mortgage Source, powered by Canopy Mortgage, has your six. Look, buying a home or refinancing can feel like getting overrun on a bad op. Chaotic, confusing, and full of obstacles that make no damn sense. That's where Corey and his team come in. They're like the QRF of home loans, ready to pull you out of the chaos and guide you to the best program for you. And trust me, they'll answer all your questions. Yeah, even the dumb ones. Whether you're a salty vet or fresh out of barracks still trying to figure out where your TA-50 went. Great service, solid rates, and a team that actually understands the military life. That's why all of us here at Veteran Trash Talk trust them to do right by every veteran and their family. Ready to lock it in? Give Corey a call or shoot him a text at 808-699-7874. That's 808-699-7874. Don't wait. Unless you like overpaying and getting treated like an FNG. The Veterans Mortgage Source is powered by Canopy Mortgage, LLC. All loans are subject to credit and property approval.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
And so my honesty cap is dedicated to a little, we'll call it a public service announcement for civilians and other people in the military. There are a few people that you should always take their stories with a grain of salt. Vegans, CrossFitters, and special operations guys that tell you that they were special operations without being prompted. The first thing they say is, yeah, I used to be soft. Right. The only unicorn in that entire group is like a special operations guy that was like a vegan and did CrossFit. That guy's probably going to stay quiet for a little bit longer because he's confused as what he should talk about first. That's the only reason. Right. Anybody that says that they were soft without being prompted or without it being like a normal part of your communications is probably either an enabler or going to tell you a bunch of stuff that's not exactly true.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What's up, Gruntworks Nation? Big Earl. You heard Dave talk. You heard Buddy talk. Now, Buddy's all about, he is a Green Beret and he's Special Forces and yada, yada, yada. But he will not tell you that unless, he really, really likes you and he's made dinner for you. However, what Veteran Trash Talk does is we bring a lot of light to the veteran community, the first responder community. We promote that what we're doing well, all right, whether we're running for office, we started a business, nonprofit, all those things. Veteran Trash Talk is a super clean page. We got Gruntworks if you want to go there and raise a little hell a little bit, but we are here to promote veteran-owned businesses. So the show you are about to watch is a veteran or veterans or a spouse of a veteran or a child of a veteran that's doing great things in the community, and we need your help promoting them and getting them all all the success that they need. All right, guys, enjoy the show.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What is up, Gruntworks Nation? Welcome to Season 4, Episode 4 of the Trash Talk Hour. Special guest today is Air Force retired Anthony Dyer and author of Moonchild. And joining me today is Buddy. Where's Nick?
I don't know. He's fluffing politicians, from what I heard. Trying to get comedy shows to happen in California. I think California has become so everything's so politically correct that you actually have to lobby politicians to have comedy shows because it's too divisive to laugh. So I think that's the problem. That's what Nick's up to.
Yeah, could be. Or he's just out on the golf course, you know. That's probably what he's actually doing.
Well, that's probably how he's fluffing the politicians.
Maybe. Using that to network. Yeah. Anyhow, how's everybody doing? Good?
Can't complain. I can't complain. I've had worse days.
Yeah, good. Yeah, doing good. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, glad you're here. Yeah, it's we're starting to finally thaw out from the winter storm of 2026. Should probably go down in history here. The kids haven't been in school in like 2 weeks.
How many inches you guys
It was
we only got like inches of snow, but immediately after the snow, we got freezing rain, so it all compacted to 2 inches of solid ice all over the roads. So like I had to go to the range all last week, and the first couple of days when nobody was driving on it, it was all right. Then it started warming up and freezing again. It was literally like driving a Zamboni. Like you give it a little gas and just going sideways. I was like, man, I'm not trying to wreck going to this stupid range, but it's all right. Can't complain.
2 inches. That's more than I got, man. So
I measured it the other day. It's like, look, it's like 2 inches. Well, that's more like 6 inches. It's like 6 inches of pure ice, and it probably has a great personality. Don't judge it. Like it's fine. It's fine. Don't judge it.
Man,
Don't judge ice.
I tell people I'm all potatoes, no meat. You know, all ammo, no gun. You know what I mean? So I'm there with you, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what? An inch and a half at 1,000 miles an hour will kill you. You got to watch out for it. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh yeah, bro.
Anyway.
Moving that in the chat there. Okay, yo, David's mom. Thanks, mom. Love ya. Thanks for watching. And then he told me how to dig myself out of $30K in credit card debt. Okay.
Yeah. A, stop spending money on things that don't matter.
Start. Yeah.
And then B, the money that you don't spend on things that don't matter, start paying towards the balance of your credit card. That would be the first thing.
Real simple fix right there. There you go.
Call the credit card companies and see if they'll settle your debt for less than you actually owe right now, and maybe they will. Other than that, don't spend money that you don't have.
Yeah.
Credit
concept, huh?
They're a tool, not a trap. Like, stop using them like they are. Like, you'll be all right. Anywho, so since you don't have your conspiracy, we're going to go right into my honesty cap, and I'm going to tell you that this definitely triggered me most of the week. Can I just say that USAA is the shittiest piece of shit company on the planet? Like, so I called them on Monday. I've had USAA for 26 years now. I know that because they always thank me for my 26 years of continued patronage every time we get off the phone, when I can finally talk to a human being after going through all of their stupid voice garbage and authentication and everything else. Anyway, so I called them because my son, who's 17, needs insurance. Now, he needs insurance on a car that cost about $6,000. They wanted to raise my rate for the lowest $1,700 per 6 months. Not raising it to $1,700. They wanted to add an additional $1,700 for 6 months because I have one 17-year-old that was going to be on the policy. That's for liability insurance on a $6,000 car. He could wreck it in a year and, well, in 2 years and just pay for the car if he just put the money in the bank. That was for liability. For full coverage, it was over $2,000 for every 6 months. That was the kind of the tip of the spear because I changed insurance companies for most of my cars and him and saved myself about $800 every 6 months by changing to Allstate. Then they canceled. Well, they put my debit card in a hold status on the 2nd because all of my bills went through on the 1st of the month, like they do every month.
Every month?
And they put a fraud alert on it and stopped the card. So I called them to get that, and the lady was like, I was like, hey, like, I'm trying to figure out why my debit card's not working. She's like, oh, well, there was a fraud alert. And I was like, well, what was the fraud alert? And she was like, starts going through like my actual, she's like, there's a thing here from CDE. And I was like, yeah, that's my electric bill. She's like, well, she goes through like all these charges. And she's like, and I was like, yeah, all those went through because those are my monthly bills. And it's Monday, the first day of February, like they do every month. They come through at the same time. She's like, oh, well, we'll see what we can do. And, we'll get your card reactivated. I was like, great. Like, can you tell me what bills went through? And she's like, none of them went through. Starting with my electric bill, being that it's been icy and 25 degrees here for the last 2 weeks. I was like, well, are you going to, like, how's that going to get, do I need to call them? Or are you guys going to fix it since you stopped it for no real reason? Well, they'll probably just run it again. Probably. Or I just will find out I don't have electricity at some point. So, anywho, so we go into that whole thing. But the thing that really blows my mind is that insurance rates go up $1,700 for 6 months as if they need the money, but they can still pay for commercials every like Super Bowl, college football games. They're paying millions upon millions of dollars to say that because little Timmy's great-great-great-grandfather fought at Shiloh, he can get USAA. If he's going to get it, he already knows about it. You don't need to like advertise it so that he finds out that he can get insurance. But why would little Timmy want to use insurance if it's the most expensive fucking insurance on the planet because you're spending so much money on advertising on something that you're not supposed to have to advertise?
Tell him why you're mad, buddy.
Oh, dude. Literally losing my mind. Like, I've actually calmed down quite a bit since Monday. On Monday, I was ready to like just take all my money out of the bank and put it under my mattress.
I think USAA just has the military locked in. It's just something you do when you join the military. I think like, and you know, especially if you're joining young and you just got your first car.
Yeah, well, at one point,
the military on lock, dude.
At one point, they had really great rates. They had great loan rates. Mm-hmm. Their insurance was reasonable. It was like really good, and they were really responsive. 26 years later, you can't talk to a human. Their insurance rates are ridiculously high, and their loan rates are higher than like I can go down the street to frickin' Butt Pickers Farmer fucking credit union and get a loan rate for 2 points less than I can from USAA.
Yeah, I got rid of them a couple years ago. Like,
yeah, I'll be getting rid of them now.
Yeah,
like,
I was going to ask you about the.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but I was going to ask you, have you heard about that? Have you heard about the subscribers account with USAA by any chance?
No.
So basically, if you've had insurance for like year, like in my case, it was like, I don't know, 20 something years at the time. So there's basically this forced type savings account that they don't tell you about. And then when I decided to to get rid of my insurance. Like, I don't know if it's this lady's like last day of work or whatever, but long story short, there's this forced savings account you've been putting money into this whole time you've had them for the insurance side of things. So what they don't tell you is if you leave that insurance USAA and go to check with that, and so 20-something year financial, man. So I didn't know if you knew that or if they talked.
Oh, how do you ask him about
How do
it?
you check that? Yeah. I need to go back to USAA
so
and see if I got some money.
Yeah. So call their insurance, call USA Insurance, and hey, how much is in my subscribers account? And you'll probably get a pause, and then they'll tell you.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah. So you got some. I guarantee you, if you've had them for like, especially over the years, you've got some money in there.
Yeah, I definitely will make a great down payment on another insurance an insurance plan. Assholes. Anywho, yeah, that's all I got. That was my honesty cap. USA sucks.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry if I just bankrupted
like
USA,
somebody else. They're all cheaper. Yeah, call and get your subscribers account information. I'll be doing that on Monday.
Oh yeah.
So are you you're introducing Anthony, my guy? So
No, that's you in the script.
oh, I didn't see that part. Anyway, well, welcome Anthony Dreyer. He wrote Moonchild, and for all of you Army guys out there, Marines, it's not written in crayon. It is in black and white. They do have plenty of pictures though for you. For all you Army guys, it's only 130 pages long, so you can actually get through it. It's not like the Lonesome Dove or whatever. So Anthony, you were in a Pueblo and a AC-130, or just an AC-130? I thought I saw that you were in both. But anyway, so Anthony wrote a book called Moonchild, and Anthony, go ahead and tell us about it.
Yeah, no problem. So, I flew in the AC-130 H model Spectre gunship, as well as the Whiskey model for a little bit, and then as well as the HA-60 G PAVE helicopter. And Special Missions Aviator really is just a fancy way of saying like the Air Force combined the loadmaster, flight engineer, and aero gunner into one person doing those tasks. And I didn't always start out flying. I did I tell 10 years of my career sort of sitting on the sidelines, to be honest with you. And I was basically at home and I was just and I was like, man, like I want to do something and sort of get to do something on this global war, something hopefully my grandkids would be proud of type thing. But I knew physically like I couldn't be like an operator. I was trying to be a realist for myself, but what I could do is be an aero gunner and fly and provide that close air support for those super ninjas, like the guys on the ground, like you guys, man. And that was a awesome responsibility, man. And just providing that cast, on time, many nights for those unconventional forces, and that was my why for all those years. And to be honest with you, when that loss of identity sort of happened, like you realize you're filling out this DD-214, right? And you're in this personnelist type office, and you walk out, and there's no door handle on the other side of that door, right? Like that's pretty symbolic.
Yeah.
Like, man, I can leave this thing, right? I can never fucking get back in, right? Like that hit me hard, man. I was like, you know what, man? And I was seeing a psychiatrist with the the pregnancy family thing they did. But the prolonged exposure therapy, stuff like that. And, the lady's like, you should tell your story over and over. I said no 100 times. And when I got out, I was like, you know what, like, maybe I pay it forward. Like, someone decided to get help. And sort of like you were saying on the intro there, it's okay not to be okay. It's not okay to do nothing about that. And really, that's the whole why behind the book, and just the roots being where I grew up in Appalachia and the wings, the Air Force, those missions that had the privilege to fly on.
Yeah. That's awesome. And for everybody that's watching, let's talk about your Air Force career a little bit more before getting into the book and stuff. I think it's like what aerial gunner, but can you like talk about maybe some deployments or when you were overseas and then you retired? What's the Air Force rank that you retired at? You probably have to do
just E, E6,
put an
tech
E
sergeant
before it because a tech sergeant. Okay,
E6,
that's E6.
E6,
yeah. Air Force rank
so I did
to me to this day.
Gotcha, man. Yeah, I can't keep up with the Navy at all with ranks, but yeah, man.
So they're even worse. Yeah.
So my first gunship deployment was on the H model Spectre gunship, and it was the fall of I think it's like October. And we'd have bar mids, and so at that point, like you get in country, and you're living in these B huts, these basically plywood If you guys remember the plywood bee huts we had on the camp we were at there, and yeah,
Yeah.
man. So I was sort of anticipating the calls, and like expecting this shoot to happen, and all this stuff, and we had been flying for a week, maybe even a month at that point, but basically, pinky time, the daytime's coming up, and to remember, like, there's this whole thing where we usually don't fly at night because of, the Spirit 03 thing that happened in the first Gulf War. And you can, but it takes waivers. And we had basically just done ISR type stuff over one operation, and we had landed back at Bagram, and basically the pilot's like, "Hey, there's a Green Beret team pinned down northeast Afghanistan somewhere there," and I was just reloading the tweak rounds. And the 105, much like just like an M4, you have to spend a few rounds to line your sights in with the sensors and like bore sight it right. And so I was doing that, and he asked us if we were all good with going, and we're all like, "Hell yeah, let's do this," and so it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, man. I just remember flying over, this operation, this pinky time. I was like, well, I don't need this monocle NVG anymore, and threw that down. And right when I did that, I see just boom, boom, these two bright flashes, these RPGs, and it was basically 3 Taliban guys that had packs on with RPGs shooting at the, those guys, our guys. And then I went back on the 40 mil, and you don't. It's happening so fast, this organized chaos faction, man. But it's a beautiful thing to see when you get back then 13 crew members working together, get rounds out, and making sure that guys like you get home to your family, man. That's, like I said, that's a awesome responsibility. It's an awesome why behind the gunship, and I loved it, man.
Yeah, if you can, in a declassified manner, I guess, explain the AC 130 gunship to people. Like it's hard for some people to grasp the amount of firepower on that airplane. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's came a long way since the legacy gunships, but the H model, like the Spectre gunship I flew on in the 16th. So we had a 40 mil Bofors cannon, which was an old Navy anti-aircraft, AAA type gun, and they hung it on the side of this cargo, the A being attack and C for cargo, and the AC 130, as well as a 105 howitzer, man. So simply put, man, we got to shoot 105 millimeter. Like a tank round at 10,000 feet, up to 10 rounds per minute on the receiving end of that many rounds coming at you with that much, blast factor, right? And, the 105 was a very diverse round in itself. We had a delay round where we could pump an assure, and then we also could do this thing called like dual target attack. And I think a good illustration of that would be like, hey, like we're going to pump this delay round in this structure, and we're going to have the 40 mil aimed at the door for the squirters when they go out the back, and you guys clear us on them and stuff like that. And yeah, man. So it was an awesome weapon system, and basically back then we had 13 crew members. Now we have 7 to 8, depending on the AC-130J Ghost Rider. And I flew on the Whiskey a little bit, which is similar to the J, but we had the 30 mil Bushmaster, the chain gun, and then we had they got the 105 back on there, thank God. Then as well as STBs on the wings, and then you got Griffins. So literally, at that point they're going to give you a run-in head instead of an orbit. And you shit this, this tube out the back of the cargo of the AC-130, and then usually lays in, and so yeah, you can go right into a gun orbit. So it's came a long way, man. And I was, to be honest with you, biased at first. I was listening to the gunship, like it's just guns. That's a gunship, right? And then, when the ISIS thing happened, you started seeing the what those Griffins and STBs could do. So it's an awesome platform, man, and it's just going to continue to grow,
Yeah, it's definitely from the ground level. It's a game changer if you want something to equalize a battlefield real quick.
An entire battlefield. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't like a grid square, you could just call them, and they can usually do a pretty good job of getting rid of whatever is in that grid square. Yeah, I enjoyed working with AC 130s when we did. They also have a lot more sensors than just the gun one, so they can help you out quite a bit. But so I was reading through your book. I didn't read. I haven't been able to read the whole thing yet, even though it's just 100, and it's not a super long book. Nick only mailed it to us a couple days ago. So, but I also saw that my guy, you got rid of your own waffle guy. That's a terrible story. I can't believe you get rid of good waffles. I mean, no matter if they were being made by the Taliban or not, that's messed up.
Yeah, I tell you, he made good waffles till he didn't, man. And sort of the thing I haven't really got to talk about like till this point was like, I don't know if you were there during this time frame, but you remember when they hit the mailroom where we were at with like a mortar, and
Well, they did the same
it's
thing
like they were
in
getting
Iraq.
like closer and closer.
They hit the Chow Hall in Iraq
Yeah.
back in I
Yeah.
think it was 07. They killed a bunch of dudes. Like hit it with a couple of rockets.
Yeah, and I remember like there was a lot of that going on, and then like we would land when the sun comes up, bro, and like I would always get the best meal of the day was breakfast at Bagram, right? You had your omelet guy, you had your waffle guy, and so on and so forth, and we get back and sun's up. I mean, we'd always eat before we debrief. You always had a debrief that was like forever after these things, and so I said, man, where's that fucking waffle guy, and so didn't think anything of it, and we had gotten a shoot, and about 2 weeks goes by, and then the talk is there, and one of the ODA teams comes up and like, hey, just so you guys know, after SSE and like BDA type stuff, they're like, you guys smoked a waffle, man. You know what I mean? So however you guys do that, fingerprints, teeth, yeah. And I like, I just can't believe, man, that the one fucker that made waffles, man, he gone, but yeah, it was how someone like that gets access on base was the scary part, right? Like, TCNs and stuff like that, and the continual like leading up to that mortars of the close area of those, where we were at. But
yeah, well, that and like how much other than waffle mix was in your waffles the whole time.
Oh yeah, and he looked at us like the look when somebody like hates your presence, man, like, almost
Yeah,
a demonic like
Oh
look,
yeah, you can sense it. Yep.
yeah, he had that, bro, and like he'd ask it for just grunt at you. I'm like, damn, man, like chill out, bro.
For a waffle, man. Like, why are you so mad at me? I didn't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it is shit like that happens,
yeah.
more than
Yeah, and then same chapter. What's your rippet record? Like, how many rippets? My record is 8. I had 18 rippets at one point. I had a rippet habit there for a little bit.
Right.
Those little bitty ones.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. You're a better man than me. I think I'd go through 3 a flight, man, and some of them things were like missions were like 11.7, so 12 hours.
Oh yeah.
A lot of time. I knew this one guy. He was sitting on the ramp right before we would run the before Tassie checklist, and he would just shotgun burritos. I'm like, you're crazy. Like, you're insane. Like, your heart's gonna fall out your ass, man.
Yeah, there were times where we would be sitting in the vehicle getting ready to do a raid, and I was already like 7 or 8 rippets in, just like ready. Rippets win wars, guys. I don't know if they know that.
I tell you what I did. Do you remember when Jack 3D had the good stuff in it? Before it got banned.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I used to take that before a flight, man, and I'd just be scanning, and like, when you're flying on the gunship, you're always looking down, but like every now and then, it was sort of freaky, man, because a shooting star or something would happen. It would just like you'd twig out on it for a second, and then start looking at the op again. But I had my share of rippets,
Oh yeah. Yeah, Dave. I don't think. Well, Dave's still got a monster habit, but no. I had to get rid of all the monsters.
You know what else is in? You know what else is in?
Yeah. Well, got to have something to make your body better.
Yeah, I just do that, and I've been on these velos lately. I've been. I do a lot of dip, man. It's pretty much that's my biggest vice now, man. It's probably dip, but
yeah. So what got you? What made you write the book? And
tell us about the book and talk about the title for everybody that's watching and listening.
Yeah, no problem. So, talking to a psychiatrist and doing that prolonged exposure treatment, part of that process is basically they're getting to what's actually bothering you, right? And they're going to peel back that onion, and then you're going to write it out. And basically, you get to the point where you're uncomfortable talking about it. So just like we're doing now, we're just conversing, right? And like at first, I couldn't really do that with this lady, and she gave me the cliche analogy of like, you wouldn't call a dentist to fix your car type thing, and it's as cheesy as that is, she was right. You know what I mean? And so I gave it a chance and ended up getting help, man. And I got out and basically had all these thoughts and a lot of it already written down. And like you said, it is a very short read, man. I think 136 pages. It's a good 2-hour read. And next thing you know, man, from pen to paper and book in hand, which is about 7 months at that point. And I talked to a war journalist named Holly McKay, and on LinkedIn of all things, and I Googled or looked up how to who's the editor for military type stories, and she responded. And I remember I was at Walmart and we set up the appointment, and then she called, and then she's like, yeah, I'll do it, and then she recommended a publisher named Robbie Grayson in Tennessee, and he did the hardware of the book and the picture and stuff like that. And Yeah, I
Yeah.
tell people, man, like I believe every veteran has a story, man. And there's no such thing as too small of a story, man. So just tell it, man. You'll be surprised. It's almost overwhelming, this common theme of that loss of identity and that sense of purpose. That why when it's gone, and what do you do now, right? And so
And
Yeah.
I love
Well,
that you mentioned that. Let
go
me
ahead.
real quick, but yeah, I love how you mentioned that. And maybe you said 6 months, pretty much putting it down and then getting it published. I'm just
yeah,
trying to
7
I'm
months.
trying
Yeah,
to hit
it
on
was
that a little bit more for anybody that is watching that's saying, hey, I've wanted to write a book, but everybody, there's that huge fear. You don't know, publishers, editors, like all that stuff. Like how much does it cost? Talk about that process a little bit, because I know like you just said, there's a lot of veterans out there that do have stories that might want to pull the trigger, but they're just too scared or they don't know how.
Yeah, no problem. I always recommend just saying the loud part out loud, man. And that editor really helped me do that. And what would happen, she would, I would have this Word document, this working document, and like it would back and forth. She's like, "Hey, what do you really mean by this?" Like, and she's like, "What are you trying to say here?" And I've learned to sort of stay away from. I have a lot of acronyms in there, a lot more than I thought I did at first. But she was really good about helping me say those hard parts and give my word teeth, and so you got to think you've already got the data here, right? You just have to get it in some sort of timeline. And that's really where an editor comes into play, and they give you that chronological from you're born deep in Appalachia, and the next thing you know, you're 10,000 feet flying over the Hindu Kush or something. It's but yeah, it was an awesome experience. And I tell people, man, it's fun too. Like looking back at it, honestly, man. Like I was nervous
It's therapy,
about,
right?
for some of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's therapeutic, and I think helping is healing its own way.
100%. And is there a large cost that comes with it for anybody that's watching? Like, obviously you mentioned having an editor and stuff, but again,
Yeah,
does it cost a lot? Do these people cost a lot? You don't have to throw prices out there if you don't want to, but kind of maybe give us a, little
yeah,
estimate on what that looks like.
yeah. It's especially if you're in the military, they'll work with you, but it's not. It's a few grand to say the least. For the editing part, and the publisher really depends on. But yeah, I'd say I'll just say it's $6,000. You can get a book out there.
Perfect.
It's a decent size.
Well, I like. So you talked about like the loss of identity when you leave the military, especially when you leave like the special operations community in such a small team. On page 102 of your book, you put the poem that about men. It starts off men special operations as a mistress and goes through, and that's always been kind of one of my go-to like favorite poems. It's the most true poem that I've ever heard in my life, especially about like special operations. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be like she's always going to leave you for somebody that's younger and better looking. There's always going to be the next operator or the next aviator or whatever.
Yeah, and I think is the OSS commander, the guy that said that, and what he's getting at is basically like is when we sign up, when you guys sign up for that life, right? Like the spouses sign up too, and you sort of see towards the tail end of your career what deployments do to a family. There's that weird phase where you get back, right, and like in my example, my wife didn't work at the time, and I'd get back and try to do everything, and realize, man, she's been doing all this, I sort of need to like test the waters a little bit before I just go balls to the wall, and it's a hard thing to really put in words about them signing up to, and the spouses close, man. That's if you want some intel, bro, you go there, man. So I always looked at it as like two different worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
100%.
true. I thought you had a question, buddy.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
But yeah, it's an awesome
Yeah.
point, man. It'll definitely wake you up in the middle of the night. Those 3 a.m. phone calls, and it'll, in the end, it'll leave you for a younger man. So yeah, that's definitely that world in a nutshell.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And how have you kept in touch with like the people that you used to fly with? Are you like you guys have your own little like organization or like group of people that you still kind of keep in touch with, or how does that work?
Yeah. Now I do the flight simulators here at Cannon Air Force Base, and I get to still see and some of this, it's rare, but some of the same men and women I used to. And it was cool. Like, I would get a message here and there, like, "Hey man, like, just so you know, like, I've struggled with that too. And, I'm decided to get help." And you sort of see the fruits of that, of the book, and that's really the reason for it. Right. And, it's basically one lady said, it's a co-pilot. She said, it's the only book that could laugh and cry within the same same 2 hours. It's like it's that short of a read, right? And they often rib at me, like, how do you read on a 5th grade level and have a book? And I was like, dude, I don't know, man. So, yeah,
Yeah.
And you wrote in the book, you kind of about your first engagement. It's kind of vividly in there. You mention it. Can you tell the viewers and listeners a little bit how you felt afterwards? I think we probably all share similarities in that aspect on how we felt after our first firefight or whatever. But if you wouldn't mind putting that down a little bit and explaining, what that was like.
Oh yeah. I just remember like there's a adrenaline with that, even in the air, and when all the dust settled and it all happened so fast, it felt like, man, I can't like really put in words like how it happened so fast, right? And the dust settled, and I seen 64 rounds later, man, and like you realize, like, man, like that close air support, like it works, man. It's tried and true, and those guys got home, and I just remember thinking, like, man, I got to do more for my country, man. Hour and a half, 2 hours in that part of that sortie than I'd done my whole life, man, of sitting on the sideline. And again, it's you get back and it's sort of baptized by fire. And there was this back then they gave me a friar tuck. They shaved me right down the middle, man. They shaved me with these clippers that like didn't even cut, they pulled, man.
Yep.
I don't know if I put that part in the book, but it was it's like a
it's a ritual,
like
right? Yeah,
like a rite of passage, like I knew at that point, like, it was, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, man.
Yeah, well, there's a guy on the chat that says that he's intrigued at a 105 firing while in flight. And it's what's crazy to me is like if you're firing a 105 from the ground to the ground, like not that big a deal. You know the trajectory. There's no forward throw. There's no like tilt of the aircraft. There's no like anything crazy. Like how in depth is the math? And you talk about it in your book about how you failed geometry, and then you spent most of your time doing geometry in the Air Force, looking out a window. So, how hard is it to get a 105 round on target, flying at 130 knots, tilted sideways in the wind?
Yeah, and it's really a crew served weapon, man. And like, so I like to tell people as an arrow gunner on a gunship, you're really more of like a flying artillery type guy, right? You make your money with weapon with malfunction analysis and getting that gun back online, And I know that sounds simple, but you could imagine, you guys on the ground, you hear the comms, you hear the intensity in the comms, and they're getting shot at, and you can't figure out what's wrong with your gun. So you took pride in being the weapons expert of that crew, right? And your sensor, back then we had enlisted sensor operators who actually aim, those sensors of what they're shooting at. And then the pilot, even up, it starts from the front all the way to the back, man. He's getting what we call rate and coincidence or geometry. And basically, you have a trainable box because we're tilted down like it's like NASCAR with guns, right? This left-hand orbit, what we call the pylon turn. And he's trying to get, keep this gun in that trainable box, that sweet spot. Otherwise, it'll inhibit the fire because you don't want to shoot your wing type thing, because you're tilted.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of math in that, even just basic flying, man, like ILS vectors, right? Like, they'll say things like, give me a right turn 310, maintain, 6,000. So, okay, 360-degree compass, I know 310 is about right here, right? Like, so you sort of, geometry is a big part of that world in a way that I never thought, man. And learning reciprocals and stuff like that. Yeah. So I used a lot of math, and with gunners, the round count was always a big thing for like even landing, because we had to know the net explosive weight, and if you have an emergency or a fire, God forbid, and you got all this, high explosive rounds on there, like you want to tell the fire department, EOD, all those guys, hey, we got this on here, this is all get out of here type thing. So
yeah, that I can't imagine doing an emergency landing in an AC-130 fully loaded with all the bullshit you got. Like I might just get up to about 5,000 feet, put the autopilot
let's close it
back, and be like, we're good. I'll be a paratrooper for a little bit. That'd be fine.
Yeah. It would definitely be a surround and drown type scenario. I'm assuming, with the fire department and the AFFF on. So
yeah, until they get to get on some lawsuit because of the foam.
Yeah.
No kid. So if you were to like tell us, like, what is like one of your most memorable missions that you flew on that that stands out to you? Is like, man, that was like the most legit, or just like the craziest one that you ever went on that stands out to you?
Yeah, and there was basically two types of gunship missions, right? There's the tick, and in 2011, believe it or not, we still have pagers, man, and like you would get either like alert launch, excuse me, and like n plus 15 minutes to be off the ground, or you would have this op, right, where they're going after a heavy hitter on the ground, and you've studied that, you know sort of the scheme of maneuver, all that stuff. So basically, the ones that were most exciting would be, the one, I hate to say it this way, it's a job you never want to have to do because that means you guys are shot at, right? But at the same time, when somebody's back's against the wall, you won't be the guy to go and, there'd be moments on those ticks, man, where we'd be flying and we get so many miles out. You just see the enemy starts hearing your props, right? The four fans of freedom, and they start running like bees, and it's almost like they give up at a point, and they know because the Taliban knew about the gunship, they feared it, and the ISIS, found out later about it, but it's definitely a feeling I chased forever, man. Was just those three beautiful words, clear to engage at the end of a 5-line, man, and that's some experience. I miss that every day, man.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think everybody does in their own way. Everybody misses. Well, it's not just the. I don't think it's. You don't miss the. Well, I don't know about you. I don't miss the like the engagement. I don't miss the I miss the opportunity to work as a team with people who are like that give a shit about their job and want to do the best job they can do, and they know that their efforts are in order to save someone else's life or you know what I mean, or to make something that's a bad situation better. You know what I mean? I think that's what a lot of us miss is it's not just the camaraderie, it's the depending on one another. Like people depend on you to be the best at your job and you depend on them to be the best at their job. And you hold each other accountable. And I think that's what most people miss is the accountability and the brother / sisterhood, however you want to call it, of being in the military.
Yeah, I think definitely iron sharpens iron, no matter where you're at, right? And and so what you're getting at with the gunship, of their life, and somebody's last day. So big picture, you don't want to have to go, but it happens more often than not. In that world, man, is what in that world that God forbid if there was like when I was on Castellac that didn't make it back, and that stuck with me forever. The mind starts saying if we'd have been 1 minute earlier, 3 minutes earlier, like would he still have passed? Things like that, right? And that's the ones that haunt you, man. And unfortunately, when he got back to the operating table, he passed. And I just remember thinking, man, the Air Force, they teach all these core values, right? Like service before self being one of those. And not to sound cheesy, man, but like I didn't know what those words meant to that day. Like I didn't know about duty and all that stuff until that very day, till I seen that sacrifice. And that's what haunts. That's what sticks with you, man.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Are there any parts in the book, or is there anything in the book that you didn't really want to write about, but then you decided to put in there? And then also, like, are there any parts that, I guess it's a 2-part question. What parts challenge you the most to write? Whether it was writer's block or whether it was more emotional, it was hurting to write this. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the hardest part was that when I became a extreme alcoholic, it was tell people, how many times would I tell myself I wasn't an alcoholic because I could deploy 3 months, 4 months and not drink, right? That little lie I'd tell myself and get back and binge drinking. And when it got really bad, when I lost that purpose, like I remember walking through my house, man, and shotgunning like a pint of vodka. And I was a lot anyway drinking, I'll be honest, man. And just this vicious cycle, man, that very dark cycle of like binge drinking, with sleeping pills, go to sleep, wake up hungover, go, just a cycle of that, man. That's a terrible way to live. And I look at that situation, from a different perspective now. Like, man, like, when I got the ultimatum from my wife, it's either her and a child, man. I'm, by the grace of God, chose them, and I'm so glad I did. But that was a hard thing to face that fact, and admit that, and it's all part of healing.
I love that. Yeah, we have a lot of people here that reached pretty significant, I don't know, what do you want to call it, levels or whatever, where they were really down in the dumps. And a lot of people had different triggers. So would you say that your trigger necessarily was your wife that gave you the ultimatum where you're like, okay, it needs to stop now? Because we've had individuals on here, that almost committed suicide, and that was like well, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? And that was their last, or they ended up in prison, and they're like, well, I spent some time in prison now, and I'm gonna do better. But was that your ultimatum then? Your wife just saying, hey, me and the kids
Yeah,
are,
yeah,
doing the
that
bottle,
was
you're
that was
like,
100% my motivator to actually go, and
yep,
take that first step and recognizing it. And I tell people, man, like, there is a very, I'm not a good example of a Christian. I'm not going to pretend to be one, man, but like there is a very spiritual side to this, to where like I turn to everything, and I realize psychiatry's good, friends are good. I turn to the bottle, pill, you name it, man. And I turn to everything but God, man. And he let me know that, and I think in these situations, like it's easy to get in isolation, man. And I tell people, man, like, not a religious guy, but I think God will put you in isolation before that elevates, and that's when the healing starts,
Yeah.
love it,
Yeah.
man. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else you got, buddy? You got anything? Where can people find the book? Is it in Amazon, like any stores, or just online? Do you have any online presence where people can look you up and add you? Is there a website? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, it's called Moonchild. It's the roots and wings of a U.S. Air Force Combat Special Missions Aviator. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, anywhere they sell books. And then
Nice.
Trademark Media also has a site where you just click on it and it'll be there. And I tell people, like, the moon is always, like, I don't know, sort of symbolic to me, the title there. And I was born in a full moon, and I've always been sort of drawn to it in some weird way, man. But like, I just remember in flying, we have get well points, right? And like, you're in this orbit, and the darkest night, left hand turns all night, and sort of it's easy to get disoriented, is what I'm saying. And sort of a get well point for me was always that moon, like a lighthouse, and its own way, man. And so it's always meant a lot to me. And my favorite poem is by Rita Clint there, "Stay Wild, Moonchild."
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. And
Yeah.
how long has the book been out now?
Since-
I don't know what the publishing date was, but yeah.
Yeah, it came out on my birthday, April 7th of 25, man. So we're approaching almost a
Speaking
year
of
of it, man.
birthdays, you joined on my birthday. Well, you joined in
July-
2000, whatever, July
July
18th. I was
Yeah.
born July 18th, 1981. I saw that in the book when
Awesome.
I was looking at it earlier. Yeah, that's
Heck
pretty
yeah,
cool.
man.
Yeah, so it's been out for a while, and can you talk about sales? Is it like, what's the feedback? Have you been getting a lot of good positive feedback, or a lot of people purchasing it? Like, what's that look like for you?
Yeah. I've sold was it 720 I
You don't
think
have to give
copies
me
now,
exact
something like that.
numbers.
So,
You could just
nothing too like crazy, like, or anything like that. But yeah, it's getting some decent feedback, and I tell people, be
Good.
honest with the feedback, man. Like, I'll study that failure and and learn from it, just like a debrief, right? And take it the next project hopefully
It's not
comes out a
really
little better.
clear. Your goal was to get your story out and write a book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah.
Like whether a ton of people read it or just 700 people read it, you're
Exactly.
still an author. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was I tell people every veteran has a story, man, and like you can't take nothing with you die, right, man. There's no hearse behind it. U-Haul, I like to say, and the only thing you can truly leave behind, man, is how people will remember you, right? And like, I hope that they remember me as a guy kept his word, and guy that tried, like with a situation, no matter who he's in. So.
I love that. I love that. And then for anybody that's watching, again, go check out the book. Do you have any social media presence?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention all lowercase Marco_Brolo21, and then I have I recently got a Twitter or X account, I guess they're calling it now, just Anthony Dyer, and I could send you the link to those.
Yeah, Chris, if you want to throw that in the chat, and then we'll throw it out there again later as well and push it out.
Find the book? Like, is it on Amazon? Is it? Where would you go to get your book?
Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. You weren't listening, buddy. He already talked about that.
I'm sorry. I was trying to write down my AAR comments. My bad.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I appreciate
that's good,
it, guys.
man. I look forward to finish actually reading the whole thing and everything. Do you have any final words for everybody that's watching?
Yeah, man, I would say, you can learn a lot about life through flying, and as far as lessons learned and stuff like that. And, one of my favorite quotes was Henry Ford. Like, no matter what you're going through, man, the struggle, like people got you, man. Remember, an aircraft takes off against the wind, not with it, man. So just keep digging.
Yeah.
Love that.
Awesome.
Love that.
So the AAR, USAA sucks. Don't do it. Apparently, find out what your subscriber account's got in it, so that you can get that before you bounce out. And then we had Anthony Dreyer on, retired tech sergeant from the U.S. Air Force, who was a crew member for AC-130s and Pavehawk helicopters. And get his book, Moonchild. You can get it at Barnes and Noble. Get it on Amazon. Like I said, it's a good book. I've read about 3/4 of it, but it's not super long. You can read it in a couple days. And the one thing I forgot to say that I did like, there are a lot of analogies that you use in there that go with flying, like aviate, navigate, and communicate. How that kind of goes with life, and if you're in the aviation community or even, and you'll get a lot of the analogies, and they make a lot of sense. So look up that book and support support Anthony and another veteran telling his story, and then maybe it'll motivate you to tell your story. And there are plenty of people. We look back at like World War II and Vietnam and Korean veterans, and you're like, oh man, I wish I really knew what they went through, and not just like what's in a history book or whatever. Well, it's your chance to put out there what you went through and how your day-to-day life was. For you, it may have been mundane, but for other people, it's interesting. So put it out there. That's all I
love that. Hey, yeah, love it. If you tuned in late, go to VeteranTrashTalk.com. That is our website, which has links to everything. Go to shop.VeteranTrashTalk.com. That is our awesome merch. Today, I'm wearing one of the OG shirts, Gruntworks. Okay, that's our crazy Facebook page for you that are watching on Veteran Trash Talk. Go check that out as well. Go check out Moonchild. Awesome book. Support an awesome cause. Support this author. And we'll catch you guys next Saturday. Faceman VTT out. Boom.